So you're talking about risk management of Department of Public Health, correct?
Risk management is risk management regardless of which department.
So are you telling me at this time that you haven't contacted patient advocacy as part of your process?
I wish not to answer. I've contacted patient advocacy in the past and never been helped by them. So, you know, what I'm telling you at this point is that dead-end referral, I've already tried that failing methodology, and I have the paperwork to that also.
Okay.
So, you know, once again, being steered to a dead-end thing, a failing methodology, is not what I, as the victim, consider help. Of course, I understand how it works in risk management, to get the person to go away, to get them tired of the process. I understand the principles of risk management. I don't agree. I think they're inhumane, especially when applied to victims, you know, who have rights that are being constantly evaded.
Okay. Well, if you have not pursued that avenue, then they will more likely than not be contacted by our investigators as part of this process, just so you're aware.
It's fine.
We'll
I'm sure that whatever process is going to happen is going to happen. And okay, please go ahead. Next question. My
actually,
question.
you would need to tell us that one.
Okay. Why didn't any of your officers, when I asked them to verify that the stay-away order was, you know, valid, didn't do that if they had a radio on them? I mean, you know, you keep talking about advocacy. You know, what point were your officers trained for my advocacy? Or better yet, at what point were they trained to tell what a valid stay-away order or restraining order looked like as opposed to a bogus one?
Well, that question actually speaks to part of the investigative process to determine whether or not proper procedures were followed. And since we've had another member of the public walk in at this time, I'd like the video to reflect the fact that the only reason I'm not answering that question fully and completely is because we have a member of the public standing here, and your question speaks exactly to part of the confidential nature of an investigation regarding staff conduct.
Once again, you use the word confidential.
Hang on 1 second. Let's wait until the member of the public leaves.
You know, once again, you use the word what does confidential mean? What is the definition of confidential? I mean, I'm very confused by this whole thing because, you know, I don't see my advocacy. I see more risk management when you talk about confidentiality.
We'll just talk about that as soon as he leaves.
Okay.
Thank you. No problem.
Your personal medical records, and I'm using an anecdote here so that we're clear on what we're talking about. Your personal medical records, are they public or private in nature?
My personal medical records?
Yes.
I don't believe a stay-away order is my personal medical records.
No.
That was the question, whether he had been trained properly, you know, to use his radio to follow up on the bogus.
I understand that. Well,
you know.
The reason why I said that this was an anecdote was because I'm asking you if your medical records are private and confidential, which is the nature of being confidential because we don't share it with the public, and that's what your medical records are. I'm just trying to say your medical records are not shared with the public.
That wasn't the question.
An investigation into an officer conduct is not something public knowledge because it's an investigation.
Okay,
So
that
while
still
we go
doesn't
through the
answer the
process,
question.
What you just spoke to is your question number 2, regarding whether or not an officer can follow up on a stay-away order and get on the radio and obtain information. That speaks to an officer's conduct out in the field in a public area.
Doesn't it also speak to his training?
It does.
Thank
That's
you.
part of it, and it's presumed. So, for us to conduct an investigation as to whether or not that person performed what they're trained to do, that's part of the confidential nature of the investigation. That's all I'm saying. So when you ask for these things out in the public, there are certain things we can speak to and certain things we can't.
Well, but I can understand that confidentiality had I mentioned the officer's name. I'm talking about the process, the failing methodology. I never took his name out. I never told you. I have never mentioned it to this point what your officer's name was in front of this other person, you know, for your confidentiality. I'm attacking the methodology, the lack of help, the lack of concern, the inhumanity of all of this. Because, trust me, I will leave today and still not have any medical care. Anyway, let's continue. You know, another thing about this officer is who trains these people in medical rights, you know? Who enforces medical law? You know, medical law has been broken left and right against me. You know, to be denied my health care, to be denied access into the public building by me following up, to have a bogus restraining order. Who can I go to file a complaint and have the Department of Public Health arrested for denying me access that day? The officer told me that if I stepped foot into that building, I would be arrested. Am I not entitled to the same process back if the other side broke the law by denying me access? You know, I'm very, very confused by all this. How come only I can be held accountable to the law, but the lawbreakers, if they happen to be a city organization or something, aren't?
So is that a rhetorical question right now?
No, it's actually, no, it wasn't. I thought I explained it quite well. I'm very confused, you know. We keep saying that, here's my advocacy, here's my advocacy. Well, the officer obviously wasn't trained on how to use the radio, didn't know. You know, you keep making all these excuses. And I still don't feel like I'm having any advocacy. I feel like I'm still being risk managed.
I really don't understand what that last question was. I can only speak to what I heard at the beginning, where you said something about medical law.
Yeah, who enforces medical law?
So we don't enforce medical law.
Who does?
That's the responsibility of the Department of Public Health.
And when they break the law and don't enforce it, like my signed confession from when they denied me emergency services, then what?
That's actually not within our purview at all.
Oh, whose purview is it? I'm an American citizen, and these laws are being broken. Who do I go to get them arrested? Where is the enforcement?
I believe that we spoke to that when we talked about patient advocacy, and you...
The patient advocacy can arrest?
No, you actually voiced your concerns about their ability to do something for you.
That's correct. So you still haven't answered the question. If, you know, there is medical law, who enforces it? You told me that it's the Department of Public Health to make sure that they follow medical law, but when they break it, who enforces it and arrests them?
Well, I can't answer that.
Who can?
I couldn't even point you in the right direction.
Oh my God, this is 2012.
Yes.
And nobody knows who enforces medical law and who can arrest the perpetrators when the law is violated?
Well, I'm not an expert on any of the questions.
Well, but doesn't the
you're asking
Department of
right now.
Public Health also, you know, have the institutional police that you oversee, thereby circumventing one's legal rights? I mean, here we go again. If the Department of Public Health is supposed to follow medical law and they're circumventing people's legal rights, you can't see the failing methodology?
Well, I can't speak to any methodologies that you're referring to other than what the Sheriff's Department and the institutional police are responsible for, and that's public safety in regards to the enforcement of laws, codes, and regulations.
Well, thank you. So now, am I not a
Criminal
member of the public?
activities.
Am I not entitled to the safety? Am I not entitled to all these things that I've asked for? So why weren't these people arrested when they broke the law, if that's what you're there for?
Okay. One thing before you raise your voice again, I just want to say, because it appears to me that
I
you're getting a
understand.
little agitated, let's take it back down a notch right now.
No problem. I'm not
Let's
trying.
just-
I'm just a very demonstrative person because
Understand.
when I get asked things and told things that don't make any sense, I want to be sure I ask the appropriate correct question.
Well, can I say this then in
Please.
reference to that? I don't believe I can appropriately answer your question because I don't have the knowledge of...
Well,
questions
in the
that you're
meantime
asking.
then, sir,
So
may I
let's-
suggest that while you're working on getting the form that might have the question marks, you find out the answers so that when I come in, you can answer it then as we're going over the form. How's that for a wonderful, marvelous advocacy suggestion?
Well, actually, I was just going to make sure that we focus on the Sheriff's Department and everything that we're doing for
No,
you.
sir, part of the reason I'm here at the Sheriff's Department is because my civil rights have been violated. So I want to know who enforces medical law. So if you do want to advocate for me, please let me know who's going to arrest these people when the investigation is true and comes to fruition.
Well, let's focus on the Sheriff's Department's actions in this.
I am, and that's why I'm asking you to find out who enforces the law so that when we come in and I fill out those missing blanks or questions on the form, you can have that answer for me and I can go to that place and file a complaint and have them arrested.
But for purposes of the videotape, I think that if you reference back a few minutes on the tape itself, you'll see that I've already said patient advocacy is one of the avenues in which you can...
Correct, and I've already said that they can't arrest and they can't enforce, so that's a dead-end, false, unviable option.
Okay.
I'm asking for the correct option, the people who can arrest, and not to be sent down some dead-end alley, which is deliberately more risk management, and of course my rights continually being evaded.
Okay,
So was I very specific in requesting now? No, I don't want patient advocacy. I want to know who enforces medical law and can arrest for the violations of it. Because if nobody enforces it, and the Department of Public Health is supposed to oversee it, well, I've got plenty of proof that the Department of Public Health has broken the law repeatedly. And that's the reason I am videotaping all of this.
Okay, let's focus on the other questions so we can cover it.
I'd like an answer. So you will work on that and find out when I come in and fill out the form. I'll be given that information, and then we can proceed and move on.
Again, I've given my answer regarding that issue. All right, I've already said that patient advocacy is the avenue. You are
once again, yes, you have. And that is, you're correct. I am not satisfied.
Okay.
So you are absolutely correct. So let me once again reiterate. I'm asking for advocacy for the enforcement agency and not a dead-end lead. So thank you. I, too, can once again reinforce the methodology, the failing methodology.
okay. So let's go on with your question.
That's pretty much it. I mean, I'll just wait for you guys to contact me. You've got one complaint.
You have the originals of these items too?
The originals.
You
I have them at home.
No, I mean you have them, correct?
Yes, and also, let's not forget, I have 2 other complaints I want to file, you know, for the, you know, like I said, the charging and the 2 other incidents of me being denied my civil rights by 25 Van Ness, by, you know, me not getting those things that day. So those are 2 other incidents. So we're now up to 3 incidents,
Okay.
you know, that the city has broken the law against. And actually, sir, I understand what you meant. Yes, you're correct in taking the information. But I must say, it's definitely not okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, meaning I acknowledge what you just said.
I understand. That's why I took it as a yes.
All right, thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you. Let's be sure to follow up.